Hi, this is Nancy with GiftsHQ, and welcome everyone, especially my wonderful gifted crafters out there. It's that time of the year again, and although we're still in the fall season, we need to get some Christmas projects going. So on today's episode, we're going to make a quick and easy Santa sack for the upcoming holiday. It's a great beginner project for the new sewers that are out there, and it's super easy. So I'm excited to show it to you. Let's get started. So let's go over the materials that you're going to need in order to make this amazing Santa sack. You're going to need your sewing machine, an iron, rotary cutter, or a pair of scissors. I'll be using ribbon, or you can use twine. I have some thread that's going to match with my fabric, so make sure you pick your thread that will be coordinating with the fabric of your choice. I'll have some sewing pins that I'll be using, a ruler, and of course the fabric. And you can really use fat quarters, or you could use any type of fabric that you could pick up at any local store. So these are some of the holiday fabrics that I was able to pick up at my local craft store. Now you're going to need two pieces, so one for the front and one for the back. And some of these you can range from doing different coordinating fabrics, or you can pick the same fabric to make up the Santa sack. Now, if you want to decorate the front portion of your Santa sack, then you can just pick up kind of a blank type of material. Some people will paint it, or you can use your Cricut or cutting machine in order to do some heat transfer vinyl that'll go really pretty onto the fabric. So for those of you who are using some fabrics that are coordinating fabrics, you'll want to be mindful of any fabrics that need to be directionally correct. So for example, this is a fabric here with some really pretty cars on here. You want to make sure that when you're putting your Santa sack together, you want to have them directionally correct. In other words, the front and back of the Santa sack that you're making has the cars going in the correct direction. So you want to make sure when you're actually sewing it together, and I'll kind of reiterate this when we go through the step, you don't want to have a car showing this way and one showing the other way. So you want to make sure that they are directionally moving the same way, so that when you're moving the Santa sack around, no matter what position you put it in, it will all look directionally correct. Now, for those of you who have a Cricut machine or some type of other cutting machine and want to decorate their Santa sacks, you can just pick up a plain fabric, which is what I have here. I'll be using my Cricut maker. So this is the type of fabric that you're going to want to use in order to embellish it. Alrighty, so now I'm going to go ahead and start the first step, which is just to take your fabric and bring it over to your ironing board. We're going to give it a quick press just to kind of get out all of the wrinkles. You may want to use steam. You don't necessarily have to. A dry iron would be fine. I do like to steam my items. Makes it a little bit more crisper. So it's totally up to you. So now that you have all of your fabric pressed, what we're going to do is just take one of those fat quarters and fold it in half. And then just bring that over to your cutting station. And we're just going to remove the selvage. I'm really not going to cut too much on this. Again, my fat quarter is about 21 by 20. So I kind of want to have about this size of a Santa sack. So I'm not cutting too much away. I'm just really cutting the selvage only. Totally up to you on how big or small you want to have your Santa sack. So I'll leave the cutting dimensions to your choice. So I'll line this up, grab my rotary cutter, and I'll go ahead and cut the selvage away. Okay, so here's a quick tip for those of you that are using a fabric that has a directional print on it. So once you take your fabric, when you're lining it up to pit it and cut it, you're going to want to take the two fabrics, pretty sides touching, and you want to make sure that your fabric is going directionally correct. We're going to be pinning it, like I said, pretty sides touching all the way around, so that when we turn it inside out, you're going to want the cars facing the same way, or in your case, whatever pattern that you have, flowing the same way. Now, I'm not going to be using two directional fabrics. I'm going to be using a blank because I'm going to be using my Cricut maker. And then I'm going to be taking this fabric and putting them together. So in order to get this ready, I'm going to again do pretty size touching. So I will turn this around and I'm going to pin this all the way around, leaving the opening open. So now that we have our fabric with the pins all the way across, what you're going to want to do is focus on the top end of the Santa sack. And what you will do on the opening is we're going to fold it down, and this is where you are going to be creating the casing that you'll be used to put through your material. So some of you are going to use a ribbon, some of you will use some twine. It really doesn't matter. You just want to make sure that you have enough space to be able to pass through the material on the Santa sack. So I went ahead and I'm going to fold it over on the outside, and I will just take my ruler, and you're going to want to do at least 1 to 2 inches of the fold over, because if you make it too small, you're not going to be able to fit the material through the Santa sack. So as kind of a rule of thumb, 2 inches is more than enough. You can go 1.5 inches or 1 inch, depending on the material that you're going to be using to get through that Santa sack. So once you've decided on your measurement, just go ahead and fold it down, and then go ahead and put your pins on here. Okay, so now that you have your first side pinned, we're going to turn the fabric over, and we're going to do the same thing on the top side of the Santa sack. I'm going to go ahead and fold it over, do the same measurement that you had on the other side, and pin it across. Okay, so you're ready now to bring this over to your sewing machine, and there's just 2 really simple sews that you're going to want to do. The first sew is going to be in a U shape all the way around. You want to start right behind the casing that you created. So you are not going to be sewing from the very beginning of the fabric. You're going to start underneath the fabric because you want to leave that casing open so that you can bring the material inside to cinch the sack. So let's bring it over to our sewing machine, and let's just go ahead and sew the U shape all the way around. So remember, it could be a 1/4 inch seam allowance, or you can do 1/2 inch if you prefer. It's really up to you. Now I'm using a construction stitch, so I'm going to set my machine at 2.5. And you're just going to continue this. Once you get to your corner, you go ahead and pivot the material, and then we'll do the second side. So once I get to that corner, I'm going to lift my presser foot up and just rotate the fabric over, and then just place your foot back down, never touching the needle. The needle always stays down. And then you'll just continue. Okay, now we're just about done with the second side. Again, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to lift up my presser foot, rotate my material again, and then just set the presser foot down. And we're ready to do our final side. We'll sew this all the way up right and stop right before the casing. Okay, so now that you've sewn all the way across on your Santa sack, you're ready to now start looking at the top portion of the Santa sack. And this is where now you will have to sew going across to cinch the tubing that you've created to bring your materials and push them through. So what we're going to do is kind of just separate this here. You're going to want to take one side and just the one side, sew that all the way across. Then you're going to go ahead and flip over to your other fabric and sew that all the way across. So you're cinching just so you can create the casing that you're going to need in order to bring your ribbon or your rope through. Okay, so we've got our presser foot down, needle is down, and again, we're going to take just one side of the fabric and we're going to sew that all the way across. Okay, then just going to rotate it around and finish up that end. Now you're ready to do the other side. Again, just line that up, presser foot down, needle in position. Alrighty, now that you have this all sewed up, I'll go ahead and take my pins off. Once you have all your sides all sewed up, just go ahead and turn it inside out. And you can poke out the corners with your fingers. Okay, and you'll see over on the top of the Santa sack, you'll have your 3 sides all sewed up, and then you have your casing over on the top with the little loophole. And this is where you are now going to fit either your twine or your ribbon through. And I'll show you how to do that. Okay, so I'm going to be using the ribbon, and I'm going to be using the clip and guide. So I'll go ahead and clip that over. If you don't have a clip and guide, that's fine. You can just use the safety pin. And what you're going to want to do is just go through the casing that you've created and just push it through and bring that ribbon all the way across. You're just going to guide it through and keep guiding it through till you get to the other side. Go ahead and just pull it. And then you're going to guide it again to the other casing. So go ahead and continue that. And you'll notice that you're going to end up right back where you started. So you're going to have 2 ribbons on the same side. And this is one side of it. Now you're going to do the same thing, repeating it on the opposite end. You're going to start on this end, bring it all the way around, come back to the other end. So just go ahead and snip it. Going to clip the guide again, go to my other side, and start on this end. Just guide it all the way through. You can pull it along the way, make it a little easier. You come out on this side, then just guide it to the other side and continue. Once you get to the other side, just pull it out. Make sure you stretch it out. And then you just snip the other side as well. Now I'm going to pull it a little bit longer. This is about the size that I want. And then I'll go ahead and unclip this and just cut the ribbon. Just put a little knot on the end. Some people also put some ornaments on there. You can do like a little cute little ornament if you have something. I'm just going to go ahead and do a knot. And then I'll go ahead and put a knot on the other side as well. I'm just going to cut this to size. And there you have it. If you pull on the drawstrings on the sides, you'll see that it'll cinch up. And you have your Santa sack. Now, one of the things you can do, if you use the fabric that's just plain on the front, you can go ahead and decorate it with paint, or if you have a Cricut or cutting machine, then you can do a really pretty design on the front side of it. It's totally up to you on how you want to design it. So I decided to make a few sacks. So this is the second one that I did with a totally different design. As you can see, it has just a print on the front, and then on the back, I just have a plain white fabric. And what I chose to do was to decorate this using my Cricut machine. So this is the design that I picked from my Cricut machine. I went ahead and heat pressed it out on the front. So now I have a really pretty design that you can personalize and put someone's name on. And then on the back end, I do have the directional print. And then, of course, I've got my ribbon where it allows me to cinch it, and I'm able to put some pretty goodies inside for the kids. These are just some of the samples I was able to make. I used the fabrics that are festive for this upcoming holiday. So now that we've gone through the process, I would love to see what you gifted crafters make. So please upload your pictures on any of the social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever you're comfortable with, and tag me or send me the link. And I might showcase this in one of my future videos. I hope you really enjoyed this. I loved putting this together for you all. It's just a quick and easy project for the upcoming holiday. And I appreciate you spending your time with me. I would love to see your comments. So if you enjoyed my video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And if you'd like to be part of the community, go ahead and hit the subscribe button and the bell icon so you can be notified for my future videos. Thanks again, everyone, and hope to be crafting with you soon. Bye!